All right, YouTube. My name is Anthony. I am from Second Place Solutions, and I would like to welcome you back to my channel. For all of my loyal subscribers and fans, I appreciate you guys coming and watching my videos, and hopefully you're going to enjoy the video that I have for you today. Today's video is going to be about time management and juggling all of the crap that we have in our lives. Now, I don't know why it has taken me so long to talk about this, because this is the most common asked question that I have from students, from people who know me, from just general people in my life. Like, how in the world do I manage all of the things in my life that I have to do? My college students are constantly complaining. They're saying, how am I going to juggle work and homework and my family? How do I find time for my kids? I don't have time to do this much homework a week. You know, what am I going to do to be able to be successful? And there's a lot of issues that come with that, guys. And so hopefully I want to address this topic in a way that I can refer other people there in the future. Maybe you can refer your friends, your families there. But let's frame it, give some bullet points for it, and then let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about my life and the things that I juggle. I work full-time. I am Vice President of JC Business and Financial Services. I'm the Chief Operations Officer, which means that as a tax company from January to April 15th, I work from sunup to sundown. I basically live, eat, and sleep at work. During the off season, I work more of a traditional life, like a 40-hour week, sometimes a little bit less than that, but it's a pretty demanding job overall. I also adjunct teach. I adjunct teach both seated and online classes. I do that for Central Methodist University and Missouri Baptist University. On top of that, I am trying to pursue my PhD. I'm getting my PhD in management from Walden University. That is a tremendous undertaking that is more time consuming than anything I had previously done in my life, also than anything that I have even anticipated, right? And my fourth job, I like to really say, is I'm a full-time soccer coach for my daughter's soccer team, right? So I have a lot of things in my life. You know, I'm a father of 2 kids. I've got 3 jobs. I got the volunteer job with the soccer team. And these things all are a huge demand on me. Now, I want to tell you something. There is absolutely no way that I could do all of those things simultaneously at one time, because they all involve more hours a week than what I actually have time to commit. So my number one thing, what allows this to be possible, is something called prioritization. It's about putting priority on things. Now, anyone who knows me that knows that family is number one. But we're going to come back to the topic of family, because right now what I want to tell you what number one is, especially my college students, number one is your job. Why? Because it's input, output. What you put into your job outputs in the form of pay. You need money to live in life. You need money to get promotions. You need money to buy home and clothes and the things that provide for your children, right? Money is a very, very important output. If there's any mistake that I truthfully feel like I made in my education career, is I gave 60-70% at work and then I gave 100% to my education. Why is this a bad thing? Because the output on education is the same regardless of the amount put into it. And that is not the case when you're at a job. The more input I put into my job, the more potential output that I can get. The more input that I put into my education, the output is the same degree. Now, for most of you out there, when I apply for jobs as a professor, they do look at GPA. But for most of you out there, an MBA is an MBA, a bachelor is a bachelor. Most jobs are not going to ask you for transcripts. Most jobs are not going to care that you had a 3.0, a 3.5, or a 4.0. What they're going to care is that you have an accredited degree from an accredited institution. That's all that they're going to care about. So it doesn't make sense to go to work and give 60 or 70% at work and then give 100% to your education. My recommendation to you is very simple. You need to give 100% at work, and then you need to give 70%, 80% to your education. Do the best that you can, but remember, number one priority is work. Number two priority is education. And again, input, output. The second thing that comes with priority comes with family and communication. And this is where a lot of people get confused. A lot of people think, well, if I'm a mother, if I'm a father, I can't dedicate myself fully to something because my kids won't understand when I work all the time. And I'm going to tell you that it is not your children understanding. The problem is your communication to your children. My children, I have worked a lot of hours for most of my kids' life, but I have always done a very good job communicating to my children what it is that I'm doing and why we are doing that. For an example, I had a conversation with my son yesterday. Now, my son's a little bit older now. He just turned 12. But he asked me, he goes, "Dad, why do you work 3 jobs?" And I said, "Son, because when I was younger, with the education that I have and the degrees that I have and the experience that I have, I could have just worked 1 job." And he goes, "Oh, because 1 job would have paid what the 3 jobs pay now." And I said, "Exactly. In order to live in the home that we live in order to be able to drive the vehicles and to go to school and to play the soccers and to have the lifestyle that we have, Dad has to work 3 jobs because 1 job by itself just doesn't pay enough." He understood that. It's communication. Yes, there's times where they get upset if Dad can't make it to something, but it's communication. Now, the second part of this communication is the most important. When you say that you're going to do something, you have to follow through with it. Your children do not understand very well when mom and dad says they will be there and they're not. When mom and dad says that they're going to do something and they don't. Great example of that happened to me today. My son forgot his lunchbox when he went to school this morning, and I said, "Don't worry, buddy, I'll bring it to you. When's your lunch?" He told me. He said it'd be 11:50. 12:10 comes by, and I get a text message on my phone, and he says, "Dad, where are you at? I don't have my lunch." I felt horrible about that. See, I don't miss stuff like that. I drove to school, I picked him up, I took him out, I ate lunch with him, I apologized to him, and I said, "Buddy, I'm so sorry I missed your lunch." But I went out of my way, I stopped everything that I had going on in my life right then at that second. Why? Because my child was the most important thing in my life at that moment. And I made that up to him immediately. I didn't wait. I didn't say, "Hey, buddy, I'll make this up to you next week. I'll make it up to you the week after that," because the problem is, and we all know this, that doesn't happen. We have to do things right then and there. We have to make them right now. So that's the example number 2. The third thing that I want to talk to you about is really going to be quality of work and time management with work. And for this, I brought this book. This is called Deep Work by Carl Newport. Now, before I even tell you about what I want you to take from this book, I want you to understand that in this book, there is an underlying philosophy, a bias that is preached by Carl Newport that I do not support. I don't agree with it. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that when you read it, you may not agree with it. I'm saying that I don't agree with it because it doesn't blend with the philosophy that I have from my life, okay? He's very anti-technology. He's very anti-getting in with the modern world. He's very much going back to the old way of doing things, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of intelligent people that support this philosophy. However, what I did take from this book was basically his cycling time management deep work schedule, okay? And developing a deep work schedule that works in your life. So I recommend anybody out there who is seeing this to check this book out, right? There is a cyclical time management philosophy that he puts out that I started to adopt it. I have at both work and at home, I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. From 5 a.m. until 6 p.m. when I have to wake up my kids, I'm working on my PhD work. When I take my kids to school and I come back home, I have exactly 1 hour in which I can go work out. Then I get ready and I go to work. When I get to work, I have certain time intervals that I work on certain projects. Why do I do that? Because it's very important to understand it's about cumulative hours. The reason why, and I want you to listen up, take some notes, this is important. I am guilty of this just like you are. The reason why you feel overwhelmed with the stuff that you have in your life is because you're trying to sit down and do it all at once. Maybe you have a 6-hour project or an 8-hour project in front of you, and you're trying to think about how in the world am I going to sit down and do this 6 or 8 hour project? I don't have 6 to 8 hours in my week to do it. And the answer is, what you're not seeing is that 6-hour project, that 8-hour project is 2 hours a day, or an hour and 20 minutes a day for 7 days, or 2 hours a day for 4 days. And that is exactly how you're going to get that project done. The difference is you have to learn to be able to shut it off. And I have seen several things benefit me from this. One, I learned to stop obsessing over completion. When I wake up and I do 2 hours of work on something or an hour of work on something, two things happen. One, I dedicate 100% of myself for that 1 hour. That is where deep work comes from. 100% of myself for 1 hour. Two, when I'm done with it, I'm done. I don't continue on, because that is where the problem starts. The problem happens, people want to just finish it. Well, I'm so close. But then what happens when you keep working? You put off something else, and then you put off something else, and then you put off something else. And the next thing you know, you're so far behind on everything else because you had to complete this one project that you can't manage the things in your life. Work on things in incremental time periods. Get as much done as possible. Devote 100% of yourself to those projects when they happen. Follow some of the tips and tricks in Carl Newport's book, and that will get you down the road. You're going to find yourself much more productive. When I first started this philosophy, I was accomplishing more in 1 week than I was typically accomplishing in a month. That is how I remain so highly productive, even though I have so many things that I'm trying to juggle in my life. The next thing that I want to talk about, and the very last thing that we're going to talk about in this entire series, right? Probably the most important thing for you is going to be time off. And guys, I am so serious about this that you need to take this as dogma for me. When I'm off, I'm off. When I sit down and I am with my family, I am not checking work emails. I am not grading papers. I am not doing work. When family time comes, it is 100% family time. I do not allow myself to be distracted. When it's time to have fun, I have fun. When it's time to be with family, I have family. It has to be shut off, or you're going to burn out. You're going to lose your way. You're going to forget. You're going to do a lot of things that you're going to really regret down the road. You cannot obsess about something so much that it overtakes the things that are most important in your life. And what do I mean by that? If you follow my channel, if you're one of my fans, you know I promote family as number one. At the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, nobody is going to care about your job. Your job does not love you. Your family does. If you died tomorrow, your job would replace you in a week. It may take your family a lifetime to get over you. They may never get over you because they love you so much. Then why in the world would you let your job or your education get in the way of what matters most? Accomplish your responsibilities in life. Prioritize the things that you have to do so that you know that you get the most important thing done first. Other things can wait. But don't lose your way so that you think that your job is more important than the rest of your family or the rest of the things that you care about and you have passions for, right? This is what's most important in your life. I hope that this has helped you a little bit. I hope that this answers the question that I get from students. You know, there is a lot of work to be done, and you can be a lot more productive than you are. You are capable of doing so much more than you think you are capable of doing. In fact, you haven't even started scratching the surface of hard work yet. Dig in, get deep, get smart, and you guys will overcome this too. Until next time, guys, peace.